Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-drift.
Contact, nice to be in orbit. The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension. 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting on a hill in a shack in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. Welcome back. Hope you had a great weekend. We're live on the Fringe FM. It is Monday night, October the 14th. Now we're going to talk about transformation, self-healing, and breakthroughs with our guest is coming up later in the program, Evette Rose. That's coming up soon. Right now we have in the virtual shack the Reverend Dan Lopez, as well as Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Man, it's been one hell of a weekend. I hope you guys had a good weekend. One hell of a moon Sunday night. I'm going to talk to you guys about that here in just a second. This show is brought to you by GetTheTea.com. Make sure you go get the deal for D365. I think you get a 4-pack for around $100 right now. And that's if you don't have tea, it's a backup plan. Tea in pill form. Also, get your CBD oil from AncientLifeOil.com. And don't get caught unawares. Check out RepairWithTheFringe.com. I think what I want to do right now, just real quick, is just say what's up to Dan and Dave, because I don't like doing the big long introduction and then having my co-host just sit back and wait on me. So what's up, guys? What's going on?
What's up?
What's
doing?
I know Dave just got back from Oregon to do a big, like some kind of Bigfoot hunt. I don't know what you can talk about or can't talk about. But I do want to say before we get into that, go to UFOseekers.com. You know, I got a big ego boost when I saw their Twitter post. They're like talking about how, yeah, man, like UFO Seekers, Tim, they were bragging about us on Twitter. So I like screen captured it, put it on Facebook just to, pat myself on the back a little bit, because I never thought I'd see the day when they would say that. They're like, yeah, man, Joe's number one. We back them. And that's because we've always backed them too. And I believe if you go check out their new season on YouTube, you'll see why. Because they're still putting it down when it comes to getting to places where most people can't when it comes to UFO hunting. You can go to UFOseekers.com, YouTube.com/UFO Seekers. Follow the conversation on Twitter at UFO Seekers. And give them a call if you've had a sighting, 661-UFO-7889. What's up with the Bigfoot thing, man? Did you catch one? Dave?
Oh, yeah.
You caught one?
He's in the cooler right now as we speak.
So I'm curious, though, like when you go on these Bigfoot hunts, I don't know what you can talk about, but what can you not do? Is it like when you go deer hunting, you got to put like nose tint on you, wear orange and all that stuff, or no?
Okay. Let me just start by saying this is my very first trip. My very first Bigfoot expedition.
Okay.
And there's a lot involved. There's tons involved. And this was just, to me, this was more of an experiment of what to get out of it, what I'm going to learn on the trip. So basically I was out there for 3 nights, 4 days. And this is in Southern Oregon. I'll tell you guys right now, around this time of year, it is cold.
Is it? Like how cold?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's cold. Exactly.
How cold? Right? Like I'm supposed to go up there like towards the end of November. We're supposed to. We're probably going to be having a fringe party up at around Portland area, Clyde's place. If it's too dang cold, I don't know if I'll be able to make it. I can't handle the cold, Dave.
That's Portland. You guys are going up north and more towards the coast, so it'll be a little warmer that way. But like between California and like this is like right after Shasta, pretty much. Maybe about 2 hours from Shasta.
Okay.
South.
Yeah, it's cold, man.
So no Bigfoots, no sounds, nothing you can. I don't think.
No, we had sounds. We got sounds. Yeah, we got sounds.
Anything close?
I'd say probably about. Yeah, I still don't know the metric system that well. I don't know how to convert that stuff.
How many clicks?
How many clicks? I know. I'd say probably about 100 yards away.
Did it sound anything like? Did it sound anything like this? No, or did you just get the knocks?
We got the knocks.
Man,
Okay, so I'll say this: I don't think there were like real wood knocks, but there were like rock clacking.
Rocks clacking. Okay,
rocks. Yeah,
I've heard that stuff at board camp, Crystal Mine. Actually, when we went down there, like just rocks just coming out of nowhere, like somebody's throwing them from out of nowhere.
But I mean, that's our interpretation. And again, you know, it's, I went with, 3 other people. We were on private property, and we also talked with the caretaker of the property who's had, some experiences, not only with Bigfoot up in this place, by the way. There was also sightings of triangle UFOs. Not on my trip. But the caretaker had some stories. So, yeah, it's a real interesting place, and we do plan on going back.
I am.
So
I'm a Bigfoot skeptic, man. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm kind of not sorry, but I don't know.
Why are you sorry?
I don't know.
Don't be sorry. I mean, this trip, if anything, it showed. It was an educational trip. So it was a lot like what equipment you want to bring, what equipment you should have on you at all times. Different people have different jobs, that kind of thing. It was a very learning experience, if anything, and but it was just great being out there. And like you were mentioning, the moon, the moon was full the last couple of nights. We were out there too, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I did some full moon stuff after I was on. We were on at the same time. You were on with Varla, and then I was over on the Angel show. And how was that show? By the way, I heard part of it, then I had to jump over. But Varla is awesome, man. Really?
Yeah, she's awesome. And I had to kind of apologize because I was just so tired I'm still tired. I'm drained. I had to go to work today too, to my 9 to 5, which I hopefully won't have to.
Well,
it's pretty soon in the future. I can do this full time, but no, it was a really great show. Varla's always great with her information. She's got a number of books on the paranormal and the bizarre and all kinds of things. It's just really cool. And so she was awesome.
God, I can't wait to talk to her again. I think I'm going to talk to her on the 28th. We had a pretty cool conversation about magic and the occult. She knows quite a bit about magic, actually.
And right close to Halloween, that's a perfect time, Joe.
Yeah, it is a perfect time. I just wonder how many people, because I made a video on Facebook. I put my face out there, and I don't like doing that simply because I always liked to. And you guys know this. I told you this a long time ago. I don't like to take away from the mystery, because it was always cool to me when I would listen to radio shows and you'd hear somebody's voice and you just didn't know what they looked like. So you only got the voice, right? And, but I mean, everybody saw me anyways after the conference. So I was like, what the hell with it, you know? So I talked to everybody about doing this kind of magic or ritual to cleanse certain things away, you know, as the moon begins to wane after the full moon. And I got to tell you, man, this one was like purging cyanide out of my system almost, you know. Sometimes I think, and maybe Dan, you can help me with this, I don't know, but in my experience, sometimes if you've got some deep seated crap going on that you got to get rid of, that's all you, right? Most of this stuff is all us anyways. And it's just been there since you were a kid. That stuff don't want to come out so easy. It really don't. And your head starts messing with you, and then you start hearing voices, and the next thing you know, you're cutting chickens up and drawing circles. Yeah, it gets pretty rough. But I don't know if nobody did that with me. Well, actually, I know one person that did, but it was pretty intense. And what I discovered, and this is what I want to talk about, because this is like the whole thing of the show, because our guest is going to talk about this later. I watched a video on YouTube, of her, Evette Rose, that she was healing this woman, and I couldn't believe how fast she pulled out some junk, you know, that this woman was having to deal with her whole life in the matter of like minutes, like stuff that would take us lifetimes to get rid of. She simply just had this method that she did by asking questions, asking her where she felt certain things, and then got down to the bottom of it and just pulled it right out, you know. There's emotional components related to diseases and things that are in your body. So I always thought that stuff was kind of like woo-woo, right? Like, oh, I got this pain or this emotion or this sadness or whatever, and where do you feel it? And okay, you know, I feel it in my chest always. That's because I'm always angry. But seriously, there's some stuff there, and it's really related to like your chakras and your chakra system, and that stuff's been buried there since childhood. So it's not. That's right, Lily. It's not woo at all. There's something to it, and she's got it down to a T. So you remember, Dave, like when you had that. What did you have? A panic attack or a heart attack or something when you went into? You didn't have a heart attack.
Oh, into the house, to that haunted house. Yeah.
Right. Didn't you feel stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It wasn't a panic attack. It was an anxiety. It was something totally that wasn't even part of me.
Yeah. You went totally empath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was actually my first time feeling like that I can remember. So it was definitely not me. It was something else. And that was a very weird experience.
Did you have any thoughts first, though? That's what I'm wondering. Did you think anything before that feeling came up, or did it just, boom, just showed up?
It just showed up. It just showed up. I was like just getting up to the top of the stairs on the second floor, making my way around the rail, and it just started coming on like you know, like you're getting sick, you know, like you're feeling like you're ready to vomit.
Oh man, yeah.
But I didn't vomit. I didn't get sick, and then I started getting that real weakness, tiredness, and I started feeling this weird sensation in my chest.
Did you get a sense of doom?
That's the weird part. I don't think so. And the only reason why I say that is because I would have known if I did. All I remember was just trying to distinguish what was happening at that time. And then when I went on the other side of the room, it totally started disappearing. And I was just like, I didn't put the two together. And when I went back to where I was before, where I started feeling it, it started coming back again slowly. So I made my way back to the stairs, got back down to the first floor where Deb was, because Deb was with me. She was just downstairs talking with the patron of the house, and I mentioned it to her, And I asked the patron, I said, do you get that feeling when you go up there? And she's saying directly, she goes, I don't go up there. And I'm like, okay. You should have told me that before, but whatever. So yeah, it was a really weird experience.
Well, it's good that she didn't, because then you're not front loaded. You caught it firsthand.
Yeah. No, I mean that was definitely an experience. I'm not going to say it was cool, because at the time it wasn't.
No, definitely not.
But what I will say is it was definitely an experience. So it gave me more confirmation about there's things that we just don't know about out there that are real.
Oh yeah. It's like a memory imprint.
I wonder if it comes up like that. Like that's what I'm just, makes me think about panic attacks. Cause, I remember I would get that sense of doom. Right. And I was reading about heart attacks cause, this past weekend at the paranormal conference, I'm kind of a big boy, out of shape. I had some pretty what do you call it? Epiphanies this past weekend. Like some big things I got to change. And I was walking up to the Little Rock Bridge, and dude, it was freezing. Like the wind was knocking me over as I was walking up there. And I started getting this clammy, sick feeling, right? And like this sense of doom. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Am I having a panic attack or something? And I remember when I was looking that up about like cardiovascular attacks or whatever, that they said most of those people, they said they had a sense of doom or something. They would have their physical symptoms, but they would always have like a sense of impending doom or something like that. So I'd never had a heart attack or anything, but I felt what they were talking about. And it really like made things worse. It made me sick. It made things clammy. It made things suck. And, I don't know, maybe I felt something, or maybe I was having a health issue there, but it was pretty crazy. So this is what I'm talking about here. Some of this stuff that we have in our body is trying to let us know, in some cases, that we have some type of underlying condition. And I'm not talking about a medical condition. I'm talking about something different. So I'll tell you guys what happened. So last night I did the normal like banishing and then meditation stuff. And then I really started thinking about like certain types of pain that I was feeling. Okay. And I'm talking about emotional pain, right? And then what I did was, and this is incredibly hard, but it's kind of real shadow work here. So you say, why? Like, why am I feeling this? And then you say, okay, well, I'm feeling this because this hurts. Well, why does that hurt? And eventually you keep asking why, and you try to focus on that. Each time you get an answer, you ask why again. And it gets hard, man. As the deeper you go down with the whys, the more blocks that come up, the more crap you start feeling in your body. Like I did not know that it was that bad, right? I didn't know that our bodies and our brains shut stuff off like that and just bury it, And I started having like physical symptoms. I started having twitches. I started having anxiety. I think I got sick a little bit. I felt like I was purging something out of my body, And I was like, okay, yeah, this is weird. I had to take a break from it a couple of times. Dan, have you ever done that before? Like done some real digging deep down?
2 times. You got to do it all right. I used to do it a lot. It's just self-inventory. Going over my actions, reactions, and everything like that. And mostly my reactions to things that used to set me off. And then, doing the same thing, just, inquiring, just like you said, And then, but my teachings taught me that I had to start balancing it out. I couldn't just stay on, what was going on in the negative. What was going on in the negative, I had to pull out and get some freaking positive thrown in.
Yeah.
And then I can get back into it, because otherwise it can send you into an endless loop.
Yeah.
And once you're on an endless loop, it's like, whoa, get me out of here.
Yeah, it's dark, right? For me, it was incredibly dark.
Yeah, because it's hard to just say, okay, well, this is the part that I'm gonna have to admit and accept. So before you can even get to that point, you have to become aware of that root cause, of that root, symptom, of that root freaking, event, and so then you can just start putting it in its perspective. But before then, you just like, you're entering into unknown territory, and that alone in and of itself creates all kinds of notions of fears and what am I really in for here, so people are scared of themselves, and rightly so. Not many people are in the practice of taking a good hard look at themselves, so when it comes down to like getting into it, it could be shattering. It could also be how do you call it, enlightening and empowering.
Scary. Yeah, it's empowering too.
Yeah, but it's it's like that. I had a spiritual awakening. Well, what was it like? Well, it wasn't like
it was like
the angels
drowning.
saying, "Ah." It was more like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, it's like drowning, right? That's the way it feels. Seriously, like, and the more you kick and scream, the more you drown. That's the way I felt.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But once you get on the other side, it's like you feel the weight off. It's like lifting. It's like you've never felt as loose as you did, after coming out of the other side.
Dave, you ever done any
and then,
of that?
You got to.
I mean, sorry about that.
It's all right.
The closest thing that I felt like that was when I was like, I think I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. I actually fell into a pool, and I didn't know how to swim very well. It was very deep, and I started drowning. And things were just starting to go. Things got really quiet after I thrashed around, started bubbling out pretty much. Felt the water coming in, and then I just let go. It was peaceful. And right when it started getting dark, I saw this hand come into the water, grab me, and just pull me right up, and pretty much just saved me right there. It was a trip, but yeah, I never felt that much peace.
Yeah, see, I heard about that. Curtis told us about that too. That he felt like real panicky, and then he started feeling at peace, like as he was slipping. But I got to tell you, man, that whole moon thing, that lasted all morning. Like I had to get help, like real help, and I found some stuff that was buried that I did not want to find, and it's like you got to prepare yourself for that, man. If you start digging too deep inside you got to really like prepare yourself. Like, what are you going to find down there? You might find something that you really don't want to know about. And, it gets rough. It really does. But most of my stuff spawned. And I think this is for like a lot of people. And I want to talk about this, like when we come back from break, most of this stuff spawns from your childhood. Honestly, it's like, it is spiritual, but it's also like basic psychology. And then when you get down to it, you start realizing that divine justice that's been happening in your life, the thing that you've been blaming everybody else on, and it's their fault, and it's the universe's sick joke or whatever, it's really just cause and effect. But, yeah. So we're going to get dark, but we're going to try to get, like, I'm going to have Dan and Dave make sure that we balance out the light too, because you don't want to stay down there too long. We'll be right back. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void live on the Fringe FM. Stay with us.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Roop, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Did you know that qualified patients can access medical cannabis in all 50 states? CannaSense is a medical cannabis collective that helps patients in all 50 states gain access to cannabis medication. CannaSense does this with a streamlined process and strict compliance with the Compassionate Use Act of 1996, the Affordable Care Act, and the U.S. Constitution. It is important for each patient to understand the legalities involved, the costs, and the benefits of cannabis medication. Through truth, legalization, and education, the medical benefits of cannabis will supplant recreational perceptions, and the real vision for change will be realized. Let the people and their personal doctors take control of their medical cannabis decisions before the greed of big business takes over. The tipping point for change is today, and CannaSense is ready to lead the charge and enable legal access for all qualified patients to medical cannabis through its proven system. For more information, go to thefringe.fm/care or click the banner on the website today.
I think by now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
2018, this station produced one of the most terrifying tales ever broadcast on radio. Bigfoot Speaks, Interview with the Sasquatch. This year, we bring you an even more terrifying tale to send chills down your spine. Scary. One night only, October the 31st. Be there if you dare.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
All right, everyone. This is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you be the Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
All right. Welcome back. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void here with the Reverend Dan Lopez and Dave Cruz. Tonight we're talking about transformation, healing, rapid healing. And I was going to tell you guys, I was starting the story about what happened during the blood moon last night for me. And it was pretty trippy. But real quick, I want to say that Crow, congratulations to Crow 777. He's one of our featured podcasts here on the network, is being interviewed, I believe, right now on Coast to Coast. That's pretty rad. Congratulations, man. That's when you've made it to the big show. What'd you say, Dave?
Big shoe.
I said, way to go, Crow.
Yeah, man. He deserves it. They captured some cool stuff off the moon there. Just a lot of people try to debunk it, and I don't think they've done a very good job. So he's done a real good job doing that. So what I did was, I was telling y'all that, like, I did the banishing ritual, and then I just went into meditation, you know. And then I got up and I did what's called the middle pillar ritual. So now I've kind of banished everything away. I've grounded myself, and then I went back into meditation because I wanted to be, good and grounded. And I started just like doing this focal point meditation on a flame, and I was outside actually. So I wanted to look at fire while I was doing this. For some reason I had to. And I started thinking about this pain I was having, right? And so this pain I was having, and I'm sure everybody's felt this kind of pain, is from like a breakup. You feel this kind of stuff. Most people that have a heart do, right? And I'm thinking, why does this happen like this? Like, this is a repeating pattern in my life. So it's obviously coming back up for a reason. So I got to figure this out. And so you start chasing it, right? You say, why? And you say, well, you feel this way because this happens. Well, why? Well, because it has everything to do with first the identity, then the ego. And then as you go down, I started actually seeing like the images. And this is really weird because I slipped off into like this, I guess, half dream state. So you start having images of when you weren't, I guess, I don't know what the word for it would be, nurtured properly when you were a child. In my case, it was like there was no mother around, and there was just some, dad there to tell you to shut up every time something was wrong with you, and you start remembering those pains that you had when you were a kid. And we go to Walmart. Like, you go down to Sheridan Walmart and you can see some kid asking for a toy, and she'll turn around and be like, shut up, and smack him on the head or just yell at him, and the kid will start crying, and you just kind of laugh. You don't even think about it. But you know what's happening right there at that moment? Like, at that moment, what's happening is you just punched a hole in that kid's soul, right? You don't even know it. And it depends on how bad you did it, but you just punched a hole in their soul, something that they don't forget. Now, when I was a kid, I used to get jacked, and I'm sure you guys, at least one of y'all, probably got the same, right? And so when you mouth off, you say something bad, and you don't blame your parents. I think it's just a perpetuating cycle or whatever, but it still doesn't change the fact that stuff happens when you're a kid, or it don't happen, or you get abused or something. And I was deep, man. Like, I think I hypnotized myself and I'm not very good at that, but I watched that video on YouTube too with Frater Xavier about how to put yourself in a trance state. So I hypnotized myself pretty much looking at this flame, and I'm deep down into my childhood thinking about this stuff, man. And I started actually feeling like those feelings that happened when, I didn't know where my mom was, and I was asking my dad, or when I was hurting or something, and, I either got hit or told to shut the hell up, and I was there again, and I was thinking, this kind of sucks. Like, I want to get out of here, And then what ended up happening is I got sleep paralysis as I was out there sitting in a lawn chair, but I got sleep paralysis as I was sitting in that freaking lawn chair, man. And I couldn't kind of get out of it. And I started seeing images of other things, like memories that I forgot. And I forgot about the damn things for a reason. And I don't want to talk about that too much, but I ended up waking up, like coming out of it. I mean, literally struggling, like when your eyes twitch to come out of it. And I woke, like I got up, I jumped out of the chair. My stomach was in knots. I had to lay down, and I was like, holy hell. And so I started thinking about the cause and effect of that. Like everything like every relationship that I'd been in since, I don't know, high school, junior high, maybe, there was that feeling, and that feeling caused me to act a certain way. So anytime you either have a friendship or relationship or a family member, like you're always making a choice, right? Like out of love or fear. Now, the second you choose fear, like you do things out of fear, like you snap or you start manipulating people or you do knee-jerk things. The second you start choosing that stuff, that's when you're taking it out on the other person, right? And you don't even know it. All you're thinking about is, why are they not loving me the way I want to be loved? You know, then it becomes like a dependent situation. And I think this is like the reason why, I don't know what the divorce rate is, like 60-something% now or whatever. And most relationships.
It's up there.
It's up there, right? And I think this is the reason why most things don't work, is because we're trying to fill that hole with that other person, because we're not getting that thing that we wanted when we were a child. We're not getting that. And we're trying to get that from them. And we call that love, but that's not love. I don't think that's not, and it damn sure ain't, like if you're in a relationship, it damn sure ain't romantic love, right? It's dependency. It's like codependency, crazy stuff. And then you start thinking, damn, like I've done this to, I don't know how many people. And then you think about other relationships when you've seen other people do it to other people. And then you just watch the manipulation happen, like the gaslighting and just the scorekeeping and everything. And most of the time, especially in my case, in my life, I've seen most people get that way. So now you got two people that are feeling like they got to do whatever it takes to get that freaking love that they want as a child from their partner. And if they don't get it, they're pissed, right? So any love or anything immediately stops. And you know what people say? Well, nobody wins in an argument, but it's beyond that at that point. It's not an argument anymore. It's demons fighting demons that are trapped inside of a grown-up's body. That's trapped inside of a kid's body. And all you had to do to stop that whole thing was just choose love. That's it. Like just leave the doubt alone, the fear alone. If you start feeling like you can't trust somebody or something don't feel right, then you don't make that choice. And it sounds easy enough, right? But once you get into that emotion, it's over, and then it spirals. And if you're like me, I'm a fire sign, right? So if you're like me, mine will spiral into anger. I don't know about you, Dan. Didn't you say you used to go off and stuff too?
Oh yeah, anger was the primary emotion when I was young. I took everything out in his anger, because as long as I was angry, I couldn't get hurt.
Right? Yeah, right. And man, this stuff goes much deeper than this. Like it's not. I mean, as far as deep down goes, where it comes from. Yeah, it comes from your childhood, but it gets ancestral. It gets karmic, and then when you become an adult, it can get pretty dark and twisted on what you do to get that kind of feeling. And it's not, I don't give a damn what anybody says. It's not like this whole idea of romantic love, I think could be a fallacy. I really do. Like, I think it could be, and I could be wrong. This is something I'm exploring, but I think it could be the biggest reason why so many people suffer is because we have all these ideas of romantic love and that this other person's going to take our pain away. And if they don't, then I'm going to throw a fit, you know?
Now well, you have to have a healthy,
right.
It could probably exist, but you'd have to have a healthy ego. You'd have to have healthy behavior, you know, healthy thoughts and stuff like that happening on both sides.
Yeah,
it's not
no
just
fear.
You know, that it doesn't exist because, you know, primarily in society, it's exactly as you said. You know, you wind up getting into a relationship mainly because you wind up working out the stuff that you went through the person that you're about to get into a relationship with. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't addressed it prior to, you're just going to bring that right into the relationship, like you said, you know, and then, you know, why does it keep repeating? How come it happens with every point that you've been with? Because you haven't freaking taken care of the problem to begin with before you got into the relationship.
Yeah, I just got a text in that said, understanding that I am the things I hate and despise the most isn't the hard part.
Yeah, but
not destroying myself despite me is the real trick. I mean, how does that work, right? Like, how do you not destroy yourself?
You admit it and you accept it. You own it, and then love yourself regardless. You got to love yourself. You don't gotta, but most people love yourself with all of it, the good and the bad. Then, you know, that's acceptance. You know, once you gain the acceptance that, you know, you're imperfect. There ain't nobody who's perfect. And so everybody's got their baggage and everybody's got their junk. Everybody's got their faults and everybody's got their, you know, their pluses, their assets. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So some have more than others, you know, as they say, in, you know, where I come from, some are sicker than others.
See, I don't think that there's I don't think this process of healing ever stops, though. I think the second that you stop growing and healing yourself, you're doing a disservice to everybody in your life, not just you.
Yeah. You know, you're checking your inventory daily. You know, Dan knows
right,
that. And you know, and it's something that it never stops.
The more you do it, the less that you have to do it at a one time where it's going to really hurt. You know, so if you keep handling it, you know, periodically, you know, you have less to work with. You know, you have less to deal with, less to own up to, less to you know, forgive yourself for, less to, you know, accept. You know, so the more you let it go and not do any of the work, you know, your own work, and this is all part of becoming self-aware, understanding yourself, is that. Well, I forgot what I was going to say, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And you think it's like, and I wouldn't want to do the dream work too. And I thought, damn, man, like if I really set out to do dream work with that, I probably would have met some real dark demons, you know, big time. Like they would have just taken over my dream because I felt trapped for real. And I'm a big dude. I mean, if somebody pulled up in my yard and they would have looked at me out there sitting by that bonfire, they would have seen me like I was having a seizure trying to wake up from the stuff, you know? And I just didn't think that was real, man. I always thought that was BS. Like, well, you're going to hypnotize yourself down into a dark hellhole? Nah, that stuff's in the movies. No, it's not in the movies. It's real. And, so I started thinking about like everybody that I'd done a disservice to. Then that starts to hurt. You know, you're like, damn, man, why not do that? But now it's like
reminds me of that movie Get Out when the guy goes.
Oh yeah,
awesome, amazing movie.
That's a scary movie, man. Once you start, like the lady starts, isn't that the one where the lady starts like doing the thing with her coffee and it hypnotizes them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
kind of terrifying.
Yeah, man, that's kind of how I felt actually, but not that trapped, but pretty close. And I was thinking, okay, well, I've got this fixed, you know. So now that I know what it is, I can communicate effectively. Oh no. This is going to take more than one moon, you know. Like this stuff is down there. And you thinking, you get to the point where you're like, okay, God, I'm here. I need your help with this one, because it gets tough, like really tough. And I think
it's constant work.
Yeah. And so I start thinking about my son, and like, I'm really glad, my dad says I've spoiled him, which is bad, like I've spoiled him, but I haven't hit him, I haven't beat the boy. I have put a couple of holes in his soul when he was younger, but I did my damnedest not to. Right.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm a great parent or anything. He may turn out to be just the spoiled brat in the world, but I feel like that stuff is important, and then sometimes we'll have people come into our lives that really bring it out in us. And you think it's like a curse. You start thinking it's the universe's sick joke again, right? Like they're doing that, but it's not, man. It's a gift. It's like your guide's trying to tell you, hey, like you need to pay attention to this, because if you don't, next time we're going to bring you somebody even worse for you, or you can't even blame the other person really. They're just going to put you in another scenario where you're going to have that again. And it's like divine justice. And then you realize all of the crap that you're whining about, all of the cabals and everything, all of your crap is really just you. Most of it, life sucks, but most of the stuff that you's making your life suck is you.
Yeah. It's not to say that life, doesn't throw things at you and, gives you stuff to deal with, and that, there's anyone who's completely innocent out there of misgivings. But, for the most part, like you said, it's just a matter of us being responsible for once we take responsibility for, what's going on in our life, things tend to change a little bit, because, and I don't mean in a situation where it's like you're sitting there going, oh, it must be me. It's gotta be me. It's just like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you look at it and you're like, all right, so what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? It's like, all right, how am I thinking, and why am I thinking wrong? Or not thinking in the way that's taking me to the next level, taking me to the next step. Why is this still affecting me in the manner that it's affecting me? Mm. And just like you said, then you start getting into that exploration.
I got to say, Dave, while you're here with us too, man, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I kind of admire you, because I've talked to you about, like, you've been married to Deb for what, like 10 years or more now? Is that right?
Yeah.
And, I don't want to get too personal, but what I will say is, I've talked to Dave about things before. And he doesn't lie. He's like, dude, it's work. You just got to know if you either love them or you don't, And I said, come on now, it's got to be easy, right? It's got to be like the books where everything just flows so easily and perfectly. And Dave, he just laughs at me. He's like, no, man, it don't work like that. He's like, it's work, and you got to figure out if you love them or not, to do this kind of work, and then realize that it's going to be work for a while. So that work never ends, But there's still good times too with it. But I got what you were saying is all. And I admire that, man. I really do. So congratulations on doing the work, brother.
Thanks.
You and Deb. And
yeah.
And you can't get mad at, you can't get mad about it, man. You just got to learn. You got to look at it that way. And I started thinking about, like, okay, so what was the deal with my mom? Like, why did she choose alcohol and all this other stuff, and pretty much abandon ship when it came to taking care of the kids for the most part? I'm not saying she was super terrible, but you start seeing this perpetual thing that happens, and it all happens because we choose fear. Like, when we feel unloved, we lash out, and we lash out because we feel unloved, because we're afraid we're not going to be loved anymore. And I was thinking, like, when Stephen Schwartz was on here, I believe it was Stephen Schwartz, and he said, you're talking about magic on this show a lot. You talk about the power of magic and all this stuff, but the biggest power that we all have is to choose love. He said, if everything you did, like every decision you made, everybody you ran into, every choice you made was made out of compassion, kindness, and love, no matter what people were doing to you, we could literally change like the planet. And I know this sounds deep, but we could change the planet. We could take over this country. We could change elections. We could do anything if we all just decided just to realize what fear really was and not let it do anything anymore to us, you know. But
exactly,
I don't know, that day may come, but I get real deep with this stuff, man. Like, deep thought, you know, the Machine on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think about,
maybe it's time for the world to get deep.
Yeah, it is. I think it is. And see, and here's the crazy part too, that's just one thing. That was one thing I was working on. I still got other things I got to work on too. You know, I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? And I'm going to work on this. This one's going to take a few moons to do, probably quite a few. And so I'm wondering, like,
I know why Dan's laughing, by the way.
When these people talk about, being healthy, because I was watching these YouTube videos about it, like, you just got to be a sovereign, super healthy individual before you ever date anybody or get into a relationship. And I'm like, when's that going to happen? When you turn 80, 90 years old? I mean, come on. The hell are you laughing about, Dan?
Maybe because you got a lot of baggage, bro. We all got a lot of baggage.
We all got baggage.
It never ends, man.
It never ends. That's why he's laughing.
And we're on this. So, and you've gotten to the realization that you're aware and you've become, you know, you're basically a spiritual person because you're working on yourself. You're working on connecting with yourself and really getting to know yourself and everything like that. And guess what? That journey never ends. And once you try to walk away from it, it takes everything. The world will turn around, the universe will turn around and force you to get right back into it.
Yeah, it'll suck. You can't walk away from it.
But I got to say, Joe, congratulations, because you're now aware that you're on the right path.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Well, I think I've been on the right path, but it's like every now and then you'll get a curveball. Like, here you go. Are you ready for this? Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm ready. Hell yeah. Which it's like golf. No, you're not. The sand trap, water. You know, you're not ready for none of this crap. Why? Why did you do that? Well, we're just trying to help. It'd have been nice if you'd have just sent a letter, you know. Instead, you
gotta keep swinging, man. Keep swinging.
Yeah. Well, that's all I was wanting to talk about was the shadow work side of things, because it's like we've been talking about it for a month and a half, and what I usually do with that is I do dream work with it and journal and stuff and try to figure out why these symbols are popping up in my dreams, especially like the nightmares and stuff. But when you take control, like total control of it, and you say, okay, I'm going to go down here consciously, consciously. Whew. Yeah. Makes me want to go back to the dream work, because it's, I don't know if I can handle it, man. You know how people talk about when you take ayahuasca and they purge after they take ayahuasca, and the ayahuasca forces them to deal with their crap, like all of their crap for hours on end.
Yeah, but you don't have to deal with everything all at once. This is the thing that a lot of people, that's why they call it, you know, the spiritual black hole or the self-help black hole.
Self-help black hole.
That's why you go through this. Yeah, that's why you go through, you know, the what do they call that night? The dark night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because all of a sudden you want to be done, and there is no done, dude. There is no done. You are never done. And once you understand that, you learn to ease up on yourself. You take it easy. You don't have to take on everything all at once. That's suicide.
Yeah, but I'm like that, man. See, that's another problem I have. I like if I saw Leviathan standing in front of me, I'd go after him. I wouldn't even get help or reinforcements. I would say, you know what, Leviathan, you some bitch, I'm here now.
And the Leviathan will show you how little you are.
It don't matter, man. You know, like I'm telling you, I'm full of fury when it comes to this because of the suffering that it causes. And I told you guys about this. Like, I see some of the most talented and gifted people in the world suffering because of this crap.
But you take on the big things, you know, you do have to take them on because they're not going to do anything but bite you in the butt until you actually.
Whoa,
so
Dave.
that much is true.
Yeah. Dave, are you with us, man, or do you got to hit the sack?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going, man. But thanks a lot for having me on. And Dan, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, brother.
Likewise.
We got this.
I love you.
Take it
I love
off
you,
the air.
man.
I love you, man.
Love you, man.
Go hunt them Bigfoots.
Yeah,
catch one.
Oh man, can't wait. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, and with this with my friends, new team, however you want to call it, it's definitely going to be pretty awesome, and that's gonna we're gonna wrap it all up into a summary, and it's going to be on the show very soon.
Hell yeah, I can't wait to see it, man. Really?
Yeah, it's cool. It'll be cool. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Awesome.
Right on, man. I appreciate it. You guys have a great evening, and we'll talk soon.
Now, you know we're going to. Look,
excellent.
Also, if you guys have chased your shadow down that hole, you can call in. Like last week, Fee called in. That was a good one, right? Don't be afraid to talk about it. You might actually give permission for somebody else to feel okay about theirs. We'll be right back.
And you are listening to The Fringe FM.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
Alex X.
Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste-great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
This is Reverend John M. Polk. Please visit me at johnpolkmedia.com and visit my show, Quantum Hologram Matrix, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday on thefringe.fm.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to The Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. Tonight, we're going to be talking about rapid healing and transformation with Evette Rose. She'll be on here coming up right now. The Reverend Dan Lopez is with us, and we were talking about delving into the shadow, and I was giving some examples of that. And see, this is the thing, too, that I struggle with. I know this is important to talk about, especially when it comes to your progress, your growth, and your spiritual journey. But I can't help but feel like people don't want to hear it, you know? It's kind of like, it's negative. Don't talk about it. But it's like, if you don't talk about this stuff, man, you know, it's cool to, I guess, talk about demons. But what about the people that really have stories with real demons? You know? I mean, do they not get a voice? Can they not be on the radio? I think that's all this is giving people permission to talk, you know. And when, like, Fee called in last week, that was incredibly brave for him to talk about that, about what he had to go through.
Sure.
And what I don't,
absolutely.
Well, you know how I was telling you, like, I swear to God, like, if I could find the gates of hell, I'd go down there probably, if I had to fix it. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really would. And
yeah, but Joe, you haven't even gotten to the point where you've mastered yourself.
Don't matter. I just want to take one shot at him. It's kind of like Tyson, you know. He's like, man, I just want to hit that guy just one time. That's it, you know. I know he'll probably end up taking me out, but what the hell? But we're all causing our own suffering, and here's the thing: it's like everybody wants to love everybody, you know. They do. I know you do. I hear from you. But when you don't get the love back, you get pissed off, and you know what? It's not you should be pissed off. I don't think it's not unjustified. I think it's justified in a way. And I guess, man, the only thing that I learned from all this, which I don't know what to do about it yet, but we've got to stop any type of child abuse. Like, that stuff's got to stop. That cycle of abuse, people should be punished for it. We should define it better, number one, as a society. And if you do that, you should be punished for it. And I know it's a controversial subject because most people say, well, they're my children and I'll do what I want. But you don't understand the cause and effect of this. You don't understand the generational ripple effect that's happening when you do that. And
There's healthy correcting of a child, and then there's abuse.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of these kids are just as talented. It's the same thing. I see kids that got the talent, super personalities, and they're afraid to look up. They're afraid to talk. They're afraid to do anything because they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get abused. And not only that, they actually believe that that's reality, that they deserve it. Like, you couldn't tell them any different. You know? It's pretty sad, man. It's not all sunshine and rainbows out there. And I know it's cool to talk about like conspiracy and the cabal and stuff, but the real dark stuff is going on in the home, right next door to you, right down the street. Somebody you're waving at every day that, hey, there's old Billy Bob or whatever, you know. And we don't really, you know, when I went to the courtroom, I've been to court a few times, by the way, but somebody was getting charged with that, like child abuse or whatever. They didn't get locked up, man. They got another court date or something. Like, you should get I know that's all innocent until proven guilty, but you know, you could tell like this guy was, something was wrong with him. You should lock these people up. They don't deserve to raise children. I don't know. It don't seem right. We gotta put better laws on it. That's just my opinion, though. But then again, I don't feel like a hypocrite saying that now too, because I would never lock my dad up. You know, I would never blame it on him.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. I mean, the system that they have right now is not a system of rehabilitation. Let's put it that way. I mean, if you're going to put somebody away, it would be constructive to put them in an environment where they can actually rehab, as opposed to putting them into some place that's just going to pretty much enhance the life of, you know, their life. You know, which is, for lack of a better word, if they're poop, it's only gonna make them more poop. You know, because that's how it is right now. You go into the system, and the system is just gonna beat the living daylights out of you. Are you gonna walk out of there saying, "Gee, I'll never do that again"?
Yeah,
probably
right.
not. Probably not. You know, because it's just a vicious cycle. You know, from beginning to end. So if you grew up being physically, emotionally, and mentally, you know, destroyed, you know, and then you go up and you have kids where you go ahead and you physically, emotionally, and mentally destroy your kids, you know, and then you get put away for it to an environment where you're going to be physically and emotionally destroyed. Where does it end? Where does it end? You know, so it's like, you know, I'm not saying that people who do unimaginably bad things to people should not be put away. They should be put away. They should be removed from society. Okay. But we're talking about levels, right? So things that, you know, if you can understand that you can actually survive things and grow to become another person and heal your own wounds, like our guest is about to explain, then, you know, you have to understand, well, what's the culpability of putting this person into an environment that's going to just and make it more? You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
You know, I remember when I was a kid, the crazy thing is like, I knew I was going to get my ass beat, man. You know, like when I did stupid stuff, you know, I was an angry kid. I tried to set the school bus on fire when I was in the 4th grade. Like, lit a piece of paper and slid it under the bus driver's, like her chair, because I figured, you know, she's gonna burn up before she gets out of that seatbelt, and I want to watch. I mean, those are the thoughts that were going through my head, you know. And I knew when I got home, I was gonna get lashed, man. You know, like big time for this. Yeah, man. Like, because there's the when I was a kid, there's the pop across the face, the smack across the back of the head, the kick in the butt. Now, those are the small things, right? Then there's the whipping, which is like usually like 3 or 4 licks with a belt. And then there's when your parent does something out of fear, like when your kid does something so crazy, you don't know what else to do besides just beat the dog crap out of them, so they never do it again. And so I remember going to school, like, it was like 4 days later or whatever. And the counselor was like, hey, now, Joe, I remember what it was. She come and had me sit down. If there's something going on at home, you can talk to us now. And I knew what they were doing, right? Like they had been it's like they're trying to find the abusers or whatever. And I thought about it for a minute. I was like, I didn't blame him, And that's a hard thing to say because, yeah, he's punching holes in my soul when he did that. But you got to think about like how, I'm not making excuses, but how he was raised. What would you do? His paradigm, his eyes, I remember they were full of tears. His lips were shaking. He was so afraid that I did something like that, Like he was even asking why, why would you do something like that? I don't understand, I want to make sure you don't anymore. And it's this cycle, right? And so this goes back to what Stephen Schwartz was talking about. Like, yeah, we could rage war. And, if I ever do see Leviathan, that some bitch is mine. Probably the other way around, though. But the best thing to do...
Self-destructive.
Sometimes, man, yeah. But the best thing to do is spread love, Like, Bob Marley wasn't playing, man. He wasn't playing. Like, when he said, the bad people of this world, they're not taking any breaks. They're not taking days off. So... that's our biggest weapon. That's our biggest power. And then when we become like in our ultimate power, as far as spiritually goes, I truly believe when we can stop ourselves from reacting, which is very hard, and doing what we usually do when somebody triggers us, when we can stop that and decide to love instead, or forgive, or walk away.
Right. You gotta get to a point where you can actually allow yourself to slow down your thought process. And that's what the problem is. Love it. They came up with ADHD and ADD so that you don't have to freaking slow down. You can stay reactive. Just claim that you're ADD, claim that you're ADHD. Well, what if I am taught that I can actually slow down my thought process so I can actually allow myself to think things through before I react or before I act? Because that is right away, you already reacted inside your head, right? But before you act out physically, outwardly, you can allow yourself to, give yourself a moment. This is what I find is a lot of, the problems with communication is that, when we're talking to somebody and they don't even give themselves a moment to think things through, to let things sink in, right away they're on the defense, and what are you defending? It's your ego saying, "Ooh, he hurt me. Don't let him get away with that."
Yeah.
Yeah. But that process is like that. It's like that. It's like so fast that you don't give yourself a moment to say, wow, that hurt. Is it true? Is it really, is she saying something that might, really be true? And then, if we just allowed ourselves to just take a moment to stop and just like understand that, whatever we're taking in, could be abusive, could be straight up truth. But we don't give it the opportunity to actually sit down and register so that we can allow ourselves an alternative perspective. Right away, we have to take off the first perspective, which is, it ain't always right. It ain't always right, And then you turn around and you feel bad. And sometimes you feel bad right as you're responding, but you're already into it. So you have a hard time stopping yourself from responding. because you're already into it.
Yeah, then you can't like.
And you walk away from it like, I know I could have handled that better.
Yeah, see, that's my thing, man. Like I don't hurt until afterwards.
But then you got to be quick on the response. You have to be quick on the apologies. If I found myself wrong, then I got to let you know. I got to let you know that I was wrong and get that out of the way real quick. Nip it in the bud before I continue and do it again. Because it doesn't make no sense not to let you know that I know that I was wrong.
My thing is I'm a fire sign, and I don't know if that's a lot of people say,
you're a fire sign too. Why do you keep saying that?
So I'm like, okay, well, what does that got? That's what I was about to get at. I'm like, well, what does that got to do with anything? Well, you got Mars here and there. I'm saying, yeah, but here's the thing.
It just influences.
That's it. It's just you still have the power over it.
That's right. That's right. That's very right.
And there was a guy that I forget it. What was his name? Andrew Bartzis. And I remember the contracts where he was like, you can release your soul contracts. You can release them. All the stuff that you came here that you're supposed to work out or whatever, you can actually release them. And I was like, nah, come on. Like, I really thought that there was no way to do that. Impossible. You have to work this stuff out. And he's like, no, man, like you are who you are. You can release it. And he had this contract that you would, go into nature, make a sacred space, a sacred fire, and then make this statement to the universe. Like, I release myself from this and that and these things or whatever. And I did it once, but the weird thing is I thought, okay, it's going to be gone forever. And it did. Like, all this stuff started coming in my life when I did that. It was, I don't know who told me about that, but it just felt like such a release. And that's when I had like really good luck. All these donations started coming in back to back. Equipment started coming in. I was just walking around. I was like a walking bag of good luck. It was really strange. But
you need to reinforce that.
Right. See, and something weird happened. And you're already 2 steps ahead of me, man. Something weird happened to where the moment that I started choosing fear in my life again, and then it started perpetuating, is the moment all that crap came back.
Because you took your will back.
Yeah.
You surrendered your will over, and then you took it back. Like, that's par for the course. That's natural, considering that's what you've been doing all your life. If you've been in a certain pattern, that pattern is now ingrained. Okay, it's bone deep. But once you make an active decision and a choice, and then you take action upon that choice, now you're taking a step in another direction. But that direction can only be perpetuated by the practice of continuing the release, by continuing the acceptance, by continuing the thoughts of choosing, actively, willfully choosing to accept, this is the way I would like it to be, as opposed to just continuously going back to my old ways. If I were going to keep playing the old tapes, then I'm going to get the same thing that I had, I'm just going to, hear the same songs that, I was playing before I started playing new tapes. So start playing new tapes.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, right? And
that's it. It's a lot. It sounds a lot. It's a lot easier than it is. Simple, but it's not easy.
Well, it's you're right though. I think you could do that with frequencies and stuff too. You can. We were talking about in the chat room the other night. It was last night. We were talking about, man, wouldn't it be cool if we got Breaking Benjamin on the show? Like one of probably not going to happen, right? Because they're booked and they're big stars or whatever. But you can't think like that, man. Like, if everybody put their intentions into it, we could probably do it. And I said, so
probably,
let's do this. Let's get everybody involved and make a sigil. and I want everybody to get involved with it, and then we'll draw it. And then a couple other guys a couple of chaos magicians in there, they were talking about, yeah, we should do it this way. And immediately you could see, we kind of didn't keep talking about it, but immediately you could see how if we would have kept that going, something would have came out of it,
Right on.
And then it would have happened. It would have manifested. Most of the people that do the weird thing is we did that sigil magic experiment on the show. A lot of the people forgot what they did, what they tried to manifest, and you don't know if you manifested it, and that's the key, man. So like Gordon White has got this system to where he does so many sigils that it forces his mind to kind of forget about what he was asking for. Does it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's weird because if you make a sigil, here's the thing. If you make a sigil,
give it into consciousness.
And you're like, I want this in my life. I want this in my life. Here's the sigil. And then you do your thing, or you get in gnosis or whatever, and you're sitting around thinking, okay, man, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to manifest? Today, tomorrow, 2 weeks from now? It never does. You literally have to let it go. You got to forget about it. And then all of a sudden, the ebb and flow of it just happens. It completes the circuit, and it shows up in your life. And then you're like, oh, that's how it works. It's like one of the laws of magic, because he does, Frederick Xavier does like the 50 laws of magic or something every year. And so they set these systems up, these magicians of sigil magic, where they're literally doing so many sigils that they're forced to forget about the things that they were asking for. And these guys are manifesting stuff in their life 24/7.
Yeah, but they're consistently doing intentions that are feeding it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're maintaining a schedule, and they're doing a daily practice, and so that's it's a constant thing. So the energy is completely in there, and they're just feeding it. They know what they wanted. They let it go because they know that they're working themselves into creating that environment so that it's possible for it to happen. They're working on Jupiter, they're working on the moon, they're working on the sun, and they're holding all of these things, and they have the particular candles lit, and they have the particular incense lit, and they're doing these things all the time. It's not like it's just something that they put a sigil in, and it's not like they bought a ticket to the lottery, and then walked away and hope that that it comes through, and then forgot about it. It doesn't work that way.
Right. And see, he even I got the sigil course, from Frederick Xavier, and he made folders, right? So he would do them during certain planetary hours. He would literally buy a folder for, here's the Mars folder, here's a Venus folder. So he knows which one's in which, and he does certain things during certain planetary hours. I've got all his courses, and they're worth it. And that's why I wanted to start talking about this stuff to begin with, because it does change people's lives, But where I get tossed up is, Dan, I'll get an email or a letter from somebody that says, hey, Joe, I heard that story about where you said you were at rock bottom, and now, you're doing okay, doing what you love. Well, I'm at rock bottom. Then I hear this awful story, and then they ask me, where should I start? And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know what to tell them. I usually just give them a basic Golden Dawn book, or Liam Thomas Christopher's book, or Donald Michael Craig's book, right? And I said, this is where you start here, But I worry about it. For the next 3 days, I can't stop thinking about, did I give them the right advice? Am I going to make their life worse?
Listen, Joe, what happened with you works for you. That doesn't work with everybody.
I know. That's what I should be telling everybody.
Worked for me. What happened with me worked with me. But it doesn't work for everybody. There was a ton of people who have hit rock bottom, gone to go seek help, and it just didn't work for them for whatever reason. They weren't ready. Maybe they needed to hit their bottom and push it down further, or they just weren't ready for the information, and there's nothing we can do about that. They have to find out for themselves. They really do. We can do it. We can put the information out there till we're blue in the face. Some will get it, some won't get it. But it's up to the person. You got to want it bad enough.
Right.
You got to want it bad enough. And if you don't want it bad enough, well, proof is in the pudding.
I found Frater Xavier's channel when I was literally, oh God, I'm embarrassed to say this. I was literally breaking into houses so I could stay warm.
Oh, they do that all the time up here.
And I didn't do it, man. Like I did it in nice neighborhoods, where they were doing new construction and stuff. Because I worked in construction, and I knew that I could get on one of those job sites where the house was almost done, and no one would ever know it, because they just put like one of those basic locks on there. And isn't it funny how everybody that's at rock bottom still has a cell phone, So I'm sitting in this house in the dark, at night by myself, bored, and I'm like, I'm just going to look up, magic. I don't know why it just came to my head. I wanted to look it up. And then I came to that first set of videos that he called the mystery schools, And, he talks kind of slow and boring, and he does it on purpose, he says, but on that video. But I wasn't going anywhere. I'm sitting in a bathtub in the dark, looking at it going, That's fine. I'm going to watch this forever. It's cool. And I got so enthralled by it. I got enthralled by his story about how this stuff really worked, about how everything was really connected, and he was connecting the old ancient pagan gods to the Christian stuff, revealing the polarities of everything for the first time in my life. And then even asking you to do very small, like projects. So when people would try magic for the first time, they like, well, I want that girlfriend, or I want that girl down the street or whatever, I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's okay to ask for a girl or a guy, but don't start getting specific, But no, he's like, don't do that. I want you to try to manifest something that doesn't matter to you. And he was trying to show you something. Like, the more it matters, the less chance it's going to happen, because you live in fear and lack of abundance. And so your mind is in that paradigm. So more than likely, until you get out of that paradigm, it's not going to manifest. So he would do little experiments like a green fuzzy ball or something, put a sigil up, and I'll be damned if everybody that watched that video didn't have one pop up in their yard. It was the trippiest thing I ever saw. I was like, okay, it's kind of like the out-of-body experience, right? When you first realized that something that you always thought was like comic book fantasy was real, you started thinking it could be real. And so that was one of the first things that I practiced was sigil magic. It wasn't the banishing rituals. It was the sigil magic, like I need money bad. Like I just need $20. That's it. But I need it so bad. He's saying that it ain't going to work. So I started out with, a couple bucks, right? I just need a couple bucks during this hour or whatever. And if it's like earth, then you bury it in the ground. You could do Jupiter too, if you want to, for like mercy, because Jupiter is a good luck hour too. Go bury it in the ground now. Now you got to do something to forget about it. So I'm literally in these houses by myself doing magic experiments, and this stuff would work. Like I'd find money, just walk across it. There it is. And it always happened the second I forgot about it. The second that even sometimes when I said, you know what, man, this crap don't work. It just don't work. And that's when it would show up. And then it was like a light bulb went off in me, dude. I couldn't stop looking into it. But you don't need magic to do that. There's other people that do, like, what are they called? Spirit boards, intention boards. There's all kinds of stuff you can
do. Your wish board.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to have magic to do these things. I think people get caught up in the, like I did, they get caught up in the nostalgia and the mystery of it all. But if you really study magic, and I've said this once, and I'll I'll say it again, like especially the Golden Dawn stuff, right? Or the original systems. What they're trying to show you is like once you've reprogrammed your mind and you've built your tools and you've done all this stuff and you become an adept, you find out that you don't need it. You don't need any of it. You don't need the tools, the incense, the colors, none of it, because now you know.
But the journey is the whole thing to get you into that point to understand that that you're already like mediums. Like mediums, you start out with the tarot and the Ouija board and stuff like that in order to connect. And the bottom line is they finally realized that, they were making the connection, period.
Mm-hmm.
It was them the whole time.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. We'll be right back. We'll talk a little bit more about this. Of course, we're getting into the interesting stuff now. Also, coming up real fast is our guest tonight, Evette Rose. I'm telling you guys, Evette Rose is going to be something else. I watched her video of her rapid transformation healing. I can't wait till she comes on here. We'll be right back.
This is Paranormal News. I'm Brad Bernards.
Scientists are giving you the chance to name one of the 20 newly discovered moons around Saturn. Astronomers say that scientists did not know the moons existed until recently.
Business Insider reports scientists discovered 20 previously unknown moons orbiting Saturn, which gives Saturn a grand total of 82 moons, flying past Jupiter's 79. The discovery unlocks a trove of possible new hints at how Saturn and its moons became what they are today. Each of the newly discovered moons is about 3 miles in diameter, and 17 of them are in retrograde, or in the opposite direction of Saturn's rotation. One of them is now the farthest known moon from Saturn. The discoveries join 3 groups of Saturn's outer moons, clustered by the angles at which they orbit the planet. Scientists think each of those groups may have come from a larger moon that broke apart into smaller bodies. Further study can help determine what sort of collisions created the groupings we see today and what the conditions around Saturn looked like at the time. Nessie has been filmed twice in just over a fortnight, making 2019 already the best for sightings of the legendary beast for 36 years. Both recent clips show Nessie swimming in Urquhart Bay and were filmed August 15th and September 2nd, taking the total so far this year to 16. Elena Horka from the Czech Republic made the 15th official sighting of the creature, filming what she claims is a 30-meter-long Nessie swimming fast toward the castle. Veteran Nessie cam watcher Owen Ufudhagen from Republic of Ireland made the 16th sighting 16 days later. Speaking of his achievement, Owen said, "It's hard to believe I'm the 16th sighting and my 4th for the year." Elena's clip shows a black object in the far reaches of Loch Ness, captured while she was recording the scenery. Elena reckons Nessie could be from a higher dimension that only certain people can see. Interact with the news at paranormalradio.com. I'm Brad Bernards, Paranormal News.
So we're back. We're here with the Reverend Dan Lopez from the Spiritual Warrior Today Radio. Don't forget the show comes on here 5 nights a week. 5 nights a week, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. And we're going to be, hopefully, we're going to be getting all this Halloween stuff in here. So we're going to do our Halloween special October the 31st, Scary Mary with Alex Exum. And so just keep it tuned in to the Fringe FM so you can hear all the new stuff and all the funny stuff as well. But before the break, I was talking to you guys about like the rock bottom, how I found magic stuff. Did you ever, Dan, did you ever find, like, you never really got into like magic, right? You were more of like the Edgar Cayce type, or you got into that, right? Or am I
totally
wrong?
Yeah, totally. the magic stuff was usually in passing, like the information would come by in books that were on Edgar Casey. So it led me to stuff, like the Hermetics and stuff like that. But I never really, I read the information, but I never really practiced it hardcore, except for like candle lighting and stuff like that.
Okay. And so what about the frequency stuff? Was that's from the Edgar Casey stuff too? Did you learn that from that?
No, the frequency stuff I had, did some studies on binaurals. Actually, binaurals and how, and entrainment and self-hypnosis. That's how I got to the information about the frequencies. And then I just went whole hog into it and learning everything that I possibly could, and how, there were actually patterns that could be used to alter your thinking, to assist you in altering your thinking. Of course, you had to be a participant in it and, allow it to do what it needs to do. And then I found out that, some of the patterns that are used are the same sympathetic patterns. Like if you struck a particular chord, if you had other stringed instruments around, they would start to vibrate at the same thing. So, and then I got into understanding the stuff with Tesla, how he was doing resonant frequencies, where he could actually set off this little box, about the size of a matchbox, and he placed it on top of a beam and on a new construction site. And the damn thing got to a resonant frequency of the construction site where it started tearing the building apart. So I was like, well, isn't that interesting? So I was like, all right. So all of these things started getting into motion, and you get the understanding that there was this person who was out there, who actually did recordings on opening up your chakra systems and opening up your spiritual centers and stuff like that. And the same principles applied, where these things, if you sat and you listened to them, you would actually be able to resonate with them as they were opening them up. Your vibrations would actually begin opening up your centers as well. So that's where I started getting deep into mixing everything together and incorporating it into something that could actually apply. So I did that, and I put it out there, and was getting some really insane responses. People who talked a lot of but didn't really practice didn't really get anything out of it. But those who really didn't say anything used to come back with the most wildest results that I heard. So it was cool.
Yeah, but some of those frequencies, man, good God, they really do a number on you. They really start.
They will. It's just like the information. Well, look at the. There was a video that I just saw recently. There's a video out there that shows the sounds that they used in World War II to make the opposition, the Vietnamese, Viet Cong, used to drive them crazy. And it was the most disturbing stuff you ever listened to. And it's spooky, like, serious Halloween spooky. But that kind of stuff, it'll make you sick. It'll make you sick. It'll make you nauseous, depending. If you put headphones on and then they have the stuff that you listen to. Remember when they were doing the things with the ping pong balls and they paint them red or whatever, and you put them over your eyes and you lay down to it, and then you listen to these binaurals. You can go insane. You could have experiences that are that blow any ayahuasca thing away. And it's just your own thing and the vibrations that you're taking in. And so, it goes on and on and on. It's just like, people who live in the city, they come out into the country and they can't handle the country because it's so damn quiet because of all the frequencies that they've been dealing with. And people in the country go into the city and they can't stay in the city because there's so much vibrations and so much noise that they just can't feel at peace, so there really is something to it, it's really intense, and so it's completely applicable.
Yeah. So I've done the hemisync, right? The hemisync beats they're subtle. That's the thing about it. They're subtle. They come on very subtly, and they do it like, I guess they do it that way on purpose. because like me and a friend of mine were listening to just some frequencies one night, because you can do that with your friends, if you get on Skype, whatever, put your headphones on, turn the frequencies on. And this was one of those harder ones. And they started slipping off the chair. And I felt myself like really drifting, man. Like I was about to go somewhere, and then they slipped off the chair, and I was like, okay. Yeah, so this is not something to play around with.
Or it
either,
is.
I mean, but you know what I mean? It can get pretty heady pretty quick.
Absolutely. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, they're getting to a point where you can do it in Discord, because Discord allows you to do that, and everybody can listen, and you can actually play something and everybody can listen. Because my daughter has a server and everybody listens to the same music, and they have like 10-hour loops of music, of EDM going on, and they're all just, chatting away and stuff like that. Kind of cool. It's something to think about later on, maybe we'll do an Monroe tape.
Well, that's what I don't know. Do you think we should do that one night? Like everybody put
I think
both.
We should do that one.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Do a clearing tape, would be cool. It's clearing night, everybody.
Yeah, everybody make sure you put your left, because you got to have, we'll do that one night.
You got to have your left and your left and your right and your right, as far as the headphones are concerned.
Wow, that's a good idea, man. That is actually a very good idea. Hell yeah, Dan. Thank you. Because that's the kind of stuff I want to do, man. I want to do more. I've talked to you about this. It's not. I don't hate my show, but it's getting to where it's like the same thing, the same breaks, the same bits. The guests are fun. The what we talk about is fun, but I want to like add stuff to it, man. I want to add bits and ideas, and just get back to the creative side of it again, the fun side of it.
Oh yeah.
What is everybody saying in chat? Would they do that? Oh yeah, they're down for sure. Yeah, so what we'll do is because I have just about every Monroe album there is, and I know you got some frequencies and stuff too, right? So
throw up the gift of tones, man.
We'll have to set it up that way. We'll have to set it up one night. Where we'll see that. I don't know how that's going to work. What about when people, this is crosstalk. We can talk about this later, but, it was William Buellman, that book I was telling you I'm working on. It's like The Scientist and the Mage. When William Buellman came along in his book and was talking about belief systems, and it didn't matter to him what belief system it was. It didn't matter if you were an atheist. Like, he was literally the first guy that explained to me what you were talking about earlier, how we all create our own individual universes based on our beliefs. And when we travel out of body, we kind of clash with other people's universes. And then we have some places where they have like their own belief systems. So there's actually a literal heaven out there. And I'm sure there's more than one, with the church and streets of gold and all that stuff, because these people really believe that that's where they're going to go, and that's where they go. And who's to tell them that it's not real? Nobody, because they're having that experience. I mean, once you become the I am and you say, okay, this is what's going to happen when I die, and you believe it to the core, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started realizing this, and he kept doing this like an affirmation in the book. He would call it awareness now. And I mean, he would be real assertive, and I liked how he did it. He goes, I want you to be real assertive with it. Just say awareness now. So I'd do it. I'd be like, awareness now. I'd say it like real assertive, and things would switch. Like, you'd see, like if you couldn't see, sometimes when people come out of the body, they can't see. Right. And I've done that a couple of times. I'd come out a little bit out of my, a little bit above my body, and I just can't see. And I'm like, it's dark. This sucks. I know I'm out, but I can't see anything. And so I would say that, very assertive, like awareness now. And then boom, things would just start to fade up, and you could see the room. And then I would be like, oh, and, I'd give into astonishment. And then every time I gave into that crap, I'd go right back in the body. It became such a struggle after that first time. You know?
Right on.
But anyways, what I was getting at is I started realizing what these high magicians were kind of doing, like when they were doing the banishing rituals and the visualizations and all this other stuff, that this realm that where everybody's consciousness is connected, they were drawing, like literally making shields and drawing and sending things in this realm. Now that's a trippy thought. If everybody's mind's connected and there's entities in these realms, have you ever walked down the street and just had somebody look at you all crazy and you don't know why? Like just, you get an evil look from them.
I am who I am.
Yeah, right, man. Or they're humming like, time is on my side, and you're thinking, everybody's minds are tapped into this thing. Literally if you're open to it, if you don't protect yourself, these things can mess with your head. They can make you do stuff you don't remember. And then you think about all those people that have missing time or MK Ultra folks and stuff. And you're like, there's something bigger going on here. And so the Renaissance magicians, they started, all they did, man, is they came up with protocols, code. So when you're doing like a banishing ritual or whatever, that's really just a code or a protocol or something. That's all it is. A system that they all agreed upon that works in this realm. And then they made the tree of life like a map of consciousness. That's all it was. And they traversed the realms. And so now you got these people with all these tools. And now you got astral travelers.
Been around much longer.
Oh, yeah, since the beginning of time. But now you got astral travelers that they're not using protocols or anything. They just decide what they believe, and they're there, Very interesting stuff. But the magicians, they can get to this, I guess, lunar realm and solar body that they talk about. And so can anybody that really does a lot of dream work or astral work. I guess even Gordon, it's all the same thing, actually. And now scientists are starting to find certain things, with the brain, as they look for things like dark matter, or they try to pick apart the human brain. You're starting to see that they just keep, the smaller they go, the less they find, and eventually they're going to dig down to nothing, and they're going to be like, well, okay, well, there's nothing here. I guess we call this dark matter. I mean, what do we call this? Because there's nothing there, man. There's nothing there. Everything's being projected from the inside of you out. The double slit experiment shows you that. It's all a freaking illusion. And so I've been kind of like, when I get inspired to, because I've learned that's the best way to write. It's like when you think of something, write it down, because you'll forget about it,
Oh, yeah.
And I've literally got a notepad now full of, okay, this scientist said this. I remember what this magician said out of this book. It's the same thing. And when I get done with this thing, man, it's going to be something. I just got to put it together. That's it.
I started to take an audio recorder with, one of the ones you take to like EVP record and stuff like that. So I was using that to get all the thoughts down and everything. And I filled up so much. I was like, I am never going to be able to transcribe this. It would take me forever.
Well, yeah, I've got, we're working on the archives too. I've got a couple of audio books already ready to throw up in there. And that sounded wrong. I got some audio books I threw up in. No, but I read the audio books. Like there's esoteric books that I read, and then I have commentary for anybody that cares to listen about my thoughts on the chapter and stuff. And then I don't know what else we're going to put in there, but right now we're working on, Jesus, how many episodes is it? Like 400?
There's a lot.
Yeah. So I think it's only going to be like $5. When we get done with it, it's only going to be like $5 or whatever. And I hope all those people that said that they would sign up for it do, because it's a lot of work. We got to get out of here and get our guest in, actually. I can't wait to talk to Rose, because of what I saw her do on this video really shocked me. It was one of the most amazing healing sessions I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so fast.
Well, get her on.
It was,
get her on. Get her on.
A woman was healed from something that had been, like, I guess, plaguing her since she was young. And in one sitting, she went right through it. We'll be right back with our guest. Stay with us.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Roop, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
I think by now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of the Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy and gross. Bugs, I hate bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. I know. I use Orange Guard. Plus, all of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It promotes a healthier planet, and here's a bonus. Orange Guard cleans where it's sprayed. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard.
You can get Orange Guard at Ace Hardware. And listen, folks, Orange Guard is tougher than bugs, and it's safe to use. Go to orangeguard.com. That's orangeguard.com.
Come, walk through the mossy creek and up the hill. Never mind the flashing lights and otherworldly shadows. They stay hidden within the trees. Come, step up to the shack and begin your journey to the answers that you seek. This is Lady Anne, and you are listening to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM.
This is Elle.
I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing this journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much. What a delightful evening. Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Get the Tea is the #1 cleansing tea in America. We cleanse you with organic ingredients, and when used daily, you can increase your energy. Cleanse from intruders that set up camp in your colon. Cleanse your colon and feel the difference. Colon cleanses can be uncomfortable. Not Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea is mild yet truly effective. Cleanse your insides every day. Easy to make, easy to use, and feel the results. Are you sold? Okay, then here's how to order. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Look for our specials on the front page. Get the Tea also carries top-rated supplements for those who care about their health naturally. Again, log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com and feel the results. And for those of you that arm yourself with information, come to our webinar every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can sign up at GetTheTea.com.
So we've got our guest on with us, Evette Rose, and I've been looking forward to this actually for quite some time since I've seen the YouTube video. A friend of mine was talking to me about energy and energy healing, and we would get into arguments about that stuff. I'm like, oh, that stuff's woo woo. You should try this. And so I looked it up because I'm starting to realize I'm not right about everything. And I landed on one of your videos just randomly, and it was this woman. And thank you for coming on, by the way, on the show, by the way. Didn't even introduce you.
No, thank you for having me.
Yes. And it was this woman you were just asking questions to about where she felt things in her body, and it was this experiment or experience that she would always have. I think it was in relationships, with just people where she felt uncomfortable, or she felt a certain way,
right?
And then she would ignore it, and you would ask her like, so you choose not to ignore it because you're a peacekeeper, right? And she would be like, she said, yeah, I'm a peacekeeper. But anyways, you literally like went through everything and showed her what it was, where it was, how to work through it. And just minutes. And this is stuff that takes people, lifetimes, doesn't it?
Right. Exactly.
It was really cool. It was really cool. And so the website for you guys, if you want to look at it for reference, is metaphysicalanatomy.com. That's the website to go check out. And real quick, I got to do the bio too, because I usually do that first. But this is really important because it goes along with what we were talking about earlier. So you're an author, a life coach, a trauma release practitioner, and personal development teacher. And you say that you strive to support people in their healing journeys. And you're also the co-founder of the personal development company and founder of Metaphysical Anatomy, and best known for your work in helping people to resolve trauma from their past and freeing them to live successful and fulfilling lives. And according to this, you draw this from personal experience because you had a difficult past yourself.
Right.
And so you have traveled around the world twice, and you've taught this stuff to people in seminars in over 40 countries, thousands of people. So you're really changing people's lives doing this stuff. That's incredible.
Exactly. That was the goal, and I feel like I'm achieving it slowly but surely.
Well, can you tell me when you realized that, did you go to a class, or when did you realize that, hey, I feel a certain way in my body, and I can do something about this now that I know it's attached to this feeling?
Right. So this is a very interesting story, actually, because what happened was when I was about 21, 22, it was during a period when I just moved from South Africa to Australia. And that was, and what I realized at that time in my life, I was basically just surviving. I was just coping. I was just tolerating my life. And I know, many of you listening here with me as well can probably relate to that. There comes a point where your threshold and your capacity and your physical and emotional capacity can only hold and build so many different coping mechanisms to cope with your life. And then that starts to wear out because the body and the mind has its thresholds. It's not designed to constantly be in a state of distress, in the state of fight or flight, which is what we seem to be finding ourselves in lately. And so what I realized what was happening, I was drinking a lot of alcohol. I was excessively smoking like 30 cigarettes a day. And despite the destructive lifestyle that I had, the bad diet, the excessive exercising, which helped me with anxiety, but now look at the excessiveness that I was moving into it. I was starting to destroy tissue, muscle because of the extent that I was exercising, and then working long hours and doing 3 people's jobs because I was filling my life with so much chaos, so much white noise, as I would call it. You're a radio station. If you turn from one signal to another in between the stations, it's just white noise, like that staticness, to just distract me from, because I just didn't want to feel and see what was really going on in my life. So what I did was I just filled this void with so much useless activities and ways of just distracting myself psychologically and emotionally from what was going on in my inner world, because I just didn't want to go there. And secondly, the worst part is I didn't understand what was going on there. So I ignored it, because it's normal for us as humans. If we don't understand something, then we either fear it or we avoid it. That's how we're biologically designed. There's no logic thinking or conscious decision making in it. It's actually almost like an instinctive response. And we're also we're biologically designed to be pessimistic. We are biologically designed to be suspicious of everything and to actually think negatively, because that's what keeps us safe. It keeps us safe to question and suspect everything. But now what we do is that we give our power away to something that we're sensing, but there's no logical explanation. So we revert back to what we're sensing, and that becomes our comfort zone. So what I realized at that point was, the physical destructiveness that I was going through and my hormones being all over the place because of dietary not being well, being in destructive relationships. I remember it, and this was, I had a day, I call it the intervention day, but we'll get to that in a minute. But a day before the intervention day, I remember sitting at the office and I was looking at people around me and I'm seeing there's people that's genuinely happy. There's people that's smiling, and you can feel the authenticity of that. It's coming from every single cell in their body. There's people who's talking about what they did on weekends and spending time with family, and I'm thinking, I was just working, drinking, and smoking because that was my coping mechanisms. These were my escapes. And I'm thinking, wow, this is really interesting. There are people that are genuinely happy, but we share the same bodies. We share the same biological makeup. Why can't I have that? What are they doing that I'm not doing? There's a massive, giant leap missing here in between. And so I remember in that day as well, I was just thinking back on my life, just having this long, moment of just reminiscing about the past. And I remember just looking back at my childhood, how my childhood and me as a person, how I grew up fluctuated, how I went from being, a peacekeeper to becoming the abuser, to becoming the peacekeeper, to becoming the aggressor. And then just observing how my life was just fluctuating and how I changed my coping strategies during different times. Not really realizing what the aha moment that I had at that time, but I just noticed a pattern. And I remember that now we're coming to the intervention day. That next morning when I woke up, it was just before I turned 23, 4 months before I turned 23. And I remember lying in bed and I was reaching out for my cigarette and I'm thinking there, you know what? I've had enough. It was this, I don't know if some of you can relate, but it was the sinking feeling of like, I don't have energy for this anymore. I cannot live like this anymore. My health was falling apart. My mind was destructive. My patterns was destructive. I had no joy left. There was nothing to wake up to. And I asked myself, what are you getting up for? And I'm thinking, nothing. Well, okay, well, let's just end this then. You know, that was that morning where I woke up. I decided it's suicide or I need to change something. And of course, the passive route, the suicide, just seemed easier because I was so exhausted. I just had enough. And I thought, okay, I called the office. I said, I'm just going to do one last thing. We're going to go to Mr. Google because that's what we do, right? If we don't know what to do or if we have a question, we Google it. It sounds funny, but this actually really happened. This was back then when we had these big clunky computers. I don't know if you remember the Dell with the big screens and the clunky keyboards, right? Now I'm sitting there with my cigarette. Yes. Some of you probably still have it. You're just keeping quiet now. And so I'm lighting that cigarette and I'm throwing my vodka shot there, and it's 6:00 in the morning. And I remember I called the office and I left a voice message on my manager's phone. I just said, I'm not coming in and I'm not sure if I will be coming in ever again, like just having a whole emotional moment. And went to Google and I typed in how to be happy. And so because this is what I was thinking, there's people that are happy. But now I was thinking, how do I do that? Because everything that I've been trying has just been, it just created a numbing effect. It's just been coping mechanisms. So, and so all these courses came up and there's angels and there's crystals. And I'm like, what is this crap? What is this? I Googled how to be happy and now I'm looking at this. I was an atheist at that point. I went from being extreme Christian to becoming an atheist. Of course, the rebel overcompensating, right? When you finally find your power and your boundaries and your sense of self, if you've been a victim to something to such an extent, it's very common to overcompensate. And that's exactly what I went through. So I was going through a period of being an atheist. And so I was looking at this and I'm thinking, this is a joke. You know, there has to be something a little bit more sciencey, something a little bit more logic. And so I didn't find anything that could really, disprove that. And I thought, okay, fine. If this is what it's going to be, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. So it started with Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. Are we going to go back to God now, or where are we going with this? I felt like I was running in loops. But the more I started practicing, the more I started realizing, okay, I'm starting to feel changes in my life. And this is me actually now, trying these books out. I'm reading it. I'm trying events here, trying an event there. And 3 months later, I really started to see changes in myself. But then I started realizing, hang on, things are changing to a certain extent, but not to the extent that I need them to. What is the next step? And that's where I started really enjoying this part of me that was now being born. And that's the problem solver. I love seeing a challenge. I love seeing a problem and then jumping straight into finding a solution, because I believe that there's an opposite polarity to everything in life. Where there's darkness, there's light, where there's happiness, there's sadness. And when there's a problem, there's a solution. So I knew there had to be a solution out there. I just have to look long enough and deep enough and be patient enough. And patience is probably one of my life lessons because I didn't have that. And so I started playing around with techniques and modalities, and I started putting something together. And because I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I thought, okay, fine. I'm then going to create it myself. And so that's exactly what I did. And so I went to actually a practitioner, and what I dealt was, because my biggest challenge was to dealing with trauma and sexual abuse and rape and all these aspects and points. And so what happened was, with this woman that I worked with, she had the exact same trauma as me, but I didn't know it at the time. And so here she's talking me through a process that causes you to relive the trauma in order to heal it. I didn't know what was going on, though. I had no idea what the technique was or what her approach was going to be. And it triggered the trauma, and it felt like everything was happening again. And I'm crying, and I'm asking her, can you stop this? Can you help me to break these cycles? Like, what's going on? Because I couldn't get myself out of it. I was still new to the industry. I didn't quite understand how to help myself. I was still reliant on other people to show me the way. First mistake. And so she couldn't get me out of that state. And I just said, I'm leaving. I'm done. And I left. And I'm crying. Like I'm shameless. Like if I need to express something, I'll express it. If I need to cry, I'll cry. I'm very shameless in that. So I'm walking in the street and I'm crying like a 4-year-old. Like I was so upset. And I got home and I called a friend, as we do in a crisis, right? And I called her and I said, listen, I'm going to read these steps to you. And this is the technique that I started to design. I said to her, listen, I need you to talk me through this because I cannot do this myself. And so I read it to her and she read it back to me and took me through the steps. And 10 minutes later, it's like nothing happened. But I also felt something really amazing happening in my body. And that was a cycle completing. Because at that point, I already started playing with other, friends and family and stuff like that I started practicing on. And I started seeing what I observed intuitively in their bodies, which this intuitive, insight started developing as I had started my healing journey as well. So a lot of things happened in a very short span of time. And I thought, wow.
Oh, no. Did we lose her?
It's one thing to see something happening. No, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, just cut out for a second. Yeah, you're here.
There we go. I'm back. And so I thought, this is amazing, right? So what I've been seeing happening in other people, I'm experiencing myself, and I'm like, oh, this works. And what I realized what happened in that moment is that a trauma cycle finally completed without having to relive the trauma. And I thought, this is amazing. And so with that excitement and everything else, I just started working with more people, and it just went viral from there. YouTube was actually a very big impact for me. Just sharing this stuff, sharing the information, and it just going viral. And people just started inviting me and started teaching globally. And 9 months later, I was booked out for 2 years teaching overseas. So it was quite a journey. It was quite a journey. And that's how it started, the short version.
So does a lot of what you do, does it bring you a lot of joy? Would you say the main part of bringing you a lot of joy in what you do is helping people release their own trauma and suffering, watching that? Because I literally saw that in that video. I saw like that woman kind of exhale as you were showing her all this stuff.
Exactly. Correct. And I have many, many live demonstrations that I've recorded, and the high fives and the hugs after sessions and stuff, that's very real. It's truly empowering for me to show someone else where their pain points are, but to help them to understand it, and then also to teach them tools so that they can do it on themselves. Because that's what I became so incredibly passionate about, was to design a technique, firstly, that you don't need to know what the root cause is, but you can find it if you need to. It's designed for that as well. You don't have to relive the trauma in order to heal it. And you can do that, use that technique on yourself and become your own practitioner so that you are not ever at the mercy of someone else. That is what I learned from my journey. And I thought, you know what, if there's one thing that I do to leave behind, and that is to design a technique that can help people to never, ever experience what I experienced. Because here's the problem. So now what happens is when you just talk about a trauma, we just talk about it, and they find different, coping strategies to kind of work around the problem. So now you have this neural pathway that has all these negative memories. Now you're working around these neural pathways. Now you're building new, we know that is neurogenesis. Now we're building new neural pathways around the old problem. So now we learn how to cope with it instead of dealing with it, which means that the body unconsciously continuously experience the stress through environmental factors that will trigger the unconscious mind. So your body's always in a subtle state of fight or flight, right? Well, a lot of people, when I talk to them, they think, I don't have trauma. And I'm like, are you sure about that? We're all traumatized, right? Whether you had a significant traumatic moment, or if you have low-level stress over a 2-3 year long period of time, that's trauma as well. That's just called long-term trauma. You have long-term trauma and you have instant trauma. So ultimately, coming back to what I was saying, so now you can cope with it. But then you build these, you design your biological makeup then to cope with stress and not to complete it and deal with it. We're actually designed to complete trauma. When you look at the buck in South Africa and you see it being chased by a lion and it just gets away, the autonomic nervous system starts to shake. And then 2 minutes later, it grazes like nothing happened. It remembers that the lion is dangerous. It knows that a lion is dangerous, but life goes on because the cycle is complete. It doesn't lie there sobbing and trying to deal with the stress. Right? So human body is exactly the same. We also have an autonomic nervous system. And we also have then the vagus nerve, which is the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, that's when our fight and flight is activated. So now this side is constantly activated and it's throwing the entire balance of the body out of whack, completely out of coherence. And that affects all the organs depending on the emotional stress that you have, because we have different emotional factors being held in different parts of the body, depending on your environmental factors and how that's being triggered. So your body tells you a whole story of what's exactly happening in your life. It doesn't matter how unconscious you live your life. Your body's going to tell you. Your body's going to tell you very accurately what is going on if we know how to listen to it. But I want to touch back again on what I was saying with the trauma taking place. So, you can talk about it, but here's the problem with talking about trauma all the time. And I'm not bashing any therapists, because psychologists have deeply and greatly helped me in my life. But here's the danger. You can talk about a problem, but by the time you've talked about it more than 5 times, your story has probably changed by 50%, and your memory has now become extremely inaccurate. And what happens is that we feel an emotion which is very real, that we know we feel, right? If you know you're angry, you know you're angry, right? You know you're not happy, correct?
All right.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
Exactly. You know that 100% fact. But now tell me about a memory from your childhood, and you feel a little bit more wishy-washy about it. Yeah, I kind of remember that. I remember that one moment, but you don't really remember the background, story or scenes or what came with that. So there's a little bit of a wobbliness to that. Now, what happens is we think, okay, so if that happened, that's how I would have felt in that moment. And yeah, I can relate to that emotion because I feel that emotion right now. And now what do you have? A false memory is born. Because we're so desperate to understand how we feel that we will connect that emotion to any possibly relevant memory. And now you have a practitioner that could suggest certain things that could have happened. And now you go, oh yeah, now you have all these spits and pats of memory images in the back of your mind, and you're putting all these things together, and you're trying to make a sense of how you feel based on what's being suggested as well. And boom, now you have a false memory. I can't tell you how many people I've helped who spent thousands of dollars trying to heal a memory that never happened. And now, based on that as well, we have 1/3 of our biological makeup is the expression of ancestral memories. That's a lot. Right? So now,
do you bring out childhood stuff in one session? Can you do that?
We do childhood, we do womb if we needed to, we do ancestral, we do physical, and we do environmental. Everything in 60 minutes. Healing doesn't have to take long. It should be simple. If it starts getting complicated, I lose interest. It's not meant to be complicated. Right? So, can I continue?
That's incredible. That's so incredible
I'm
because
so excited.
People have to go years for literally years of therapy and years to get some of this stuff out.
Example, I had a lady, I remember I was teaching in Moscow. I want to finish this conversation, but I'm going to share this example just to bounce off of the simplicity of what you were saying there. And I was teaching in Moscow, and a lady came to me, and her mom actually brought her to me. She said, listen, Evette, I heard you were here. She was raped the day before. She's been to the hospital, the doctor, everything. We don't know where the guy is, but I need you to help her because she's on the brink of committing suicide. It was so traumatic. And so she came to me, and I sat down with her for 1 hour, and she got up. And the last 5 minutes of the session, I actually asked her, listen, go back to the memory of what happened. Tell me what happened. Tell me this, tell me that. And she could even recall specific things that happened that was able to identify the person even better. But she could talk to me about it like it never happened. But she had the memory, right? So that's 60 minutes that could have taken her years of therapy, of reliving it and re-traumatizing the body. Because when you re-traumatize the body trying to heal something, what you do is you release a chemical, EPFN, which actually helps to build new neural pathways, and it can also promote neuroplasticity, either strengthen or weaken the neural pathways, which means the memory becomes stronger or decreases in the signaling of it. Now, what this does is you actually rewire the brain even stronger with the trauma. And I'm like, why would you do that? You're trying to heal one thing, you think you healed it, but now you just layered in another strong layer of trauma. And I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Look at the science and then look at what you're doing, right? Something sounds great in theory, but sometimes you have to look at the science as well. And so that was just an example of simplicity. It's meant to be easy, right? You can get the nervous system, the atomic nervous system, to complete trauma cycles without you even being aware of it. Crying is another beautiful way of a trauma cycle completing. But look at the shame that we associate crying with. That's a natural human trauma cycle that needs to complete. We associate shame with it. So what do? We block it. And now what do? You block the trauma cycle. And then what do? You lock in the trauma. And then we wonder why we don't heal. Now, look at shaking. Shaking is another example. That's the atomic nervous system trying to shake off the stress. But now what do? Oh, no, that's okay. I'm going to put a blanket over you. I'm going to hug you. If someone was in a car accident or they experience shock and they start to shake, be the compassionate witness, but don't touch that person. Let the cycle complete, because the moment you put a blanket over them, you just gave them 10 years of talking therapy.
So
you just added 10 years of healing work to their journey if they don't have an easy way or simple way to release it, because the body locks in the trauma.
Okay, so I'm starting to feel, I understand this, but I'm really starting to feel bad about some things too. How unaware are we of what we're doing to people and their bodies? Like, let's just say even when we criticize or argue or...
Let me explain this to you. Something can only be ill-intended if you know what the consequences can be and you continue to do that. If you do something because it's a pattern, it's a habit, and not having a clear understanding of what you've done or what the actual consequences of that could be, then it can also be called a mistake. We shouldn't be hard on ourselves. But that's also why I speak up so strongly about this, is to help people to bring awareness of it, so that we start changing our ways to be more body friendly, to be more coherent, because we spend so much time swatting around energy outside of the body and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, guys, you can do that when you've passed away, because your consciousness remains, your intelligence remains. Now you're in a physical body. You need to come back to the present moment and deal with this vessel that's meant to help you fulfill your purpose and destiny. People go, I'm not fulfilling my purpose. I'm like, well, you are your purpose right now. You need to figure yourself out before your purpose is going to figure you out. So people don't make the connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally, I get it now. Like, I can't believe that we should be taught this stuff in school. You know that? Like, we should be.
I keep saying that. Exactly.
Because we really don't know what we're doing to each other. The trauma that we're doing. We just don't have a clue.
No idea. And just to give you an example, I was teaching in Sydney, and I had one of my students I was there in March, and I came back in September to teach. And I just did a demonstration with him. He had years of slip lower disc chronic back pain to the point where he can't even bend over properly. And I actually did a live demonstration with him. It's actually on my YouTube channel. It's the lower back pain, Brian Healing or something. And he came back to me in September, and he brought me this bush of flowers. And I'm like, oh, it's so great to see you. I thought he was just happy to see me coming back. He's like, oh, and just so that you know, that demonstration that we did, it was so great because the lower back pain went away and I healed, and I don't have to use a cleaning lady anymore. I don't have a chiropractor anymore. I don't have all these things anymore. I'm going to the gym.
Yeah, we're having some connection issues for sure. There you are.
We are? Oh,
yeah, just a little, just a little bit, but I think I got it taken care of now.
I do apologize.
No, it's not your fault. Wait, are you in Australia? You're in Australia, aren't you?
No.
Where are you?
No, I'm actually in Switzerland right now. I'm a full-time traveler. I'm a nomad. Yes.
Ah, okay. All right. So, yeah, that's what you do is you travel and you heal people. So you're a healer. Yes. That's it. Yeah, that's good.
The healing nomad.
But see, I can tell too that your energy is different too, because like you're full of good energy. I think do you get compensated like energetically or universally or just emotionally? I'm sure emotionally, but it feels to me like you get a lot of energetic compensation for helping people. Do you? Does that make any sense? Or can you hear me?
No, I think we lost her again.
Man, she's so cool too. She's got great energy, and I bet she can hear us when we can't hear her.
Yep.
I tell you what, we need to do anyways. It's break time. have you seen her do her stuff though? I'm gonna actually play a clip. I might.
Me personally, no.
Yeah. Because it's incredible. And, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We'll get this worked out. We'll be right back.
Intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Every region of the world and most countries can go back in their history and trace their origins, traditions, and religions to a creator god or an angel from the sky, the stars, heaven, or even underground from the underworld. This is the common story of extraterrestrials seeding our planet. My name is Reverend John M. Polk. I am an international metaphysical minister, a Reiki master teacher, and a medium. My book is Yahweh, the Biblical God, is an Alien. The premise of my book is that there is a real God and that Yahweh is a creator God alien who is indicating he is ready to reveal his alien origins to humanity at this time.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at GetTheTea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's GetTheTea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Introducing Shadow Light Tarot from Waking Canvas, the Fringe FM's new contributing artist, Eric Tisi. This hand-illustrated black and white self-published deck serves as a reinvention of the tarot, never before witnessed. Each of the several suits of this 88-card deck lineup form an infinite panoramic scene. Even the included visual companion guidebook is entirely hand-illustrated, cover to cover with beautiful visuals and esoteric symbols and artwork. The newly released deck comes in a custom magnetic box with its own travel pouch. The Shadow Light Tarot Premium Deck and its travel-sized mini deck Wonderlight Tarot are both available now from WakingCanvas.com. If you use the code word FRINGE, that's F-R-I-N-G-E at checkout, you'll receive an extra 10% off your entire order. To discover more, including a free reading and time lapses of all the illustrated artwork, make your way over to WakingCanvas.com today. That's WakingCanvas.com. We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails. Stores with their shelves stripped bare. ATMs can't operate. Deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand three truths. FEMA is broke, the system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25-year shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in one business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts.
Pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada. You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
I think we got this kind of worked out. Hopefully, I'm going to call her back right now and get her. We're going to try this a different way. Wow. I mean, just incredible energy too. You can tell, like, she answered my question and we just couldn't hear her. She said she definitely did perpetuate like energy from all that work that she does to help people. But yeah, that's amazing, Dan. Did you know that was even possible, that you could pull that much trauma and pain out of people that fast, that it would take, I guess, years of therapy to do? I don't know. I just don't understand how we don't know about that already, you know?
I'm not surprised about it. Yeah, I'm not either. But it's just like, there's a lot of things that we run into on the show that I can't believe that we don't already know. And it's not, look, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can see it for yourself. It's not like it's woo-woo or we're making it up or anything like that. Let's see. I'm still having a hard time getting her in here. So I think if you go to her, it just keeps dropping off saying she's unavailable. That's weird. Try her again on the Skype.
Yeah, it's like I got 2 Skypes running or something here.
Well, then drop me.
Do what?
Drop me.
I'm going to drop you then. I'm going to drop you, man. All right. Let's see if we can do it like this. There we go. Let's see what happens. Now she won't pick up. There you are. Okay. Good grief. That was hard.
4G on. I went off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's a little better. It actually is.
Oh, excellent.
I'm going to see if I can get Dan back on here and then.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it's better now. So, all right. So it just dropped her again. That's crazy. No. I'm going to tell you what, guys, every time they do these updates, I want to use this Skype less and less each time. That's why I got that hybrid system. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you have every time you do this, do you feel charged? Like, do you feel an energetic charge afterwards, after you actually help heal somebody?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a charge, but it's more a sense of an energetic stability that I feel. It's almost like just constantly being in the flow. And what I realized also is that if you do something that you love, your body physically reacts to that as well. Your body starts to open up and it receives it, and it just has that beautiful balance and coherence while you do the task as well. But so, it's even like exercise. When you exercise and you absolutely hate it, then don't bother, because yes, you might get some level of benefits from that, but your body is actually feeling the resistance of that. So now you're fighting with resistance, and you're also doing an exercise that comes with that. So figure out something else that's also exercise, but something that you love, like swimming or walking, for example. So, because ultimately, when you look at people that are long distance runners, if you ask them how they feel about what they're doing, it's because they love it. But not everyone can do that, because not everyone loves that. It's all about the mindset that you go into when you do something. And I think it's also because I love what I do. I really, it's such a joy for me that the energy is just there, because my body doesn't feel drained by what I do. But I also have conscious awareness of my limitations, and I respect that. I'm very disciplined with the boundaries of my body, and I also know where my thresholds are, and I try to not push that.
Gotcha. Okay. So you know how to keep you got your own boundaries too.
Exactly. Right. But that's important for us. And that's all about our relationship with ourselves as well. We have to understand where's that fine line, because by the time you have a panic attack, by the time you have, exhaustion or breakdown or a meltdown, of course, now you're in damage control mode. You missed the signs a long time ago. It's like exercising boundaries with people as well, saying no. By the time you're in a situation and you feel really angry, or you're starting to feel resentful towards someone, you know that you missed the fine line of when you were supposed to establish a boundary a long time ago. And now you are in damage control mode. So it's all about refining your attunement to your body to recognize these subtle signals, because they're there to guide you. But we bulldoze over it, because our conscious mind is so focus on the present moment and what we're trying to do and create that, and we're so where we set our intention, that we don't look at the gap between getting there and where we are, and the signals that comes up as we go along the way.
That's incredible. So where do people mainly feel pain at? Like their chest and their stomach, or is it in the several places, the pain points?
It can actually be in several places. I noticed that the back tends to be the main focus, the back, the knees, the ankles as well. And so, of course, if you look at an inflammatory as well, which now we're looking at suppressed anger that's trying to come up. But anger in my language is the end result of something. When someone tells me I'm angry, I'm like, okay, well, we're done talking about that, because that's a symptom. I want to know what you felt before the anger and what did you feel before that. Because ultimately, when you go down and you look at the 4 core emotions of anger, you're looking at loss of control, resentment, helplessness or feeling powerless, and feelings of injustice. These 4 emotions are the core, authentic emotions behind anger. So when someone tells me that they have pain, I'm like, okay, so this person is battling something deep down inside with one of these 4 core emotions, or all 4 of them. Let's talk about what really happened. Because when someone has pain and you tell them, okay, so what's the suppressed anger about? They go like, well, I'm not angry. And I'm like, well, that's exactly the problem. You're suppressing it. You're oblivious to it. Pain is a call to action. Now you have to ask, what is this pain calling me into action to? Right? So it's learning to just understand what pain actually just means psychosomatically. So here, I gave you in 1 minute, I gave you an answer that could have taken you 2-3 sessions to figure out. So with this information and just knowing these shortcuts, knowing how the body systematically works for billions of people, it's the same. I 100% guarantee it's going to be the same, because our biological makeup is the same. Regardless of your ethnic background, it just doesn't matter. How we store trauma and how we react to trauma is the same. It just depends on your coping strategies and how you lived your life, because we have different coping mechanisms that can cause us to express it slightly in different ways. But biologically, it's going to be the same.
Wow. Yeah, so
it's super cool.
We could literally just like pay attention to our body and fix something like every day of our life until we're now. I walk around with little pains and stuff all over, but are you pain free? Like, I can't even imagine being in a body right now that doesn't have some type of weird pain or some type of weird, tension somewhere. It's been so long since I felt like no pain in my body, I'm
going to share something really, really fun with you. So I'm just to answer your question, the immediate question that you asked about pain. No, I'm not in pain. What I do is every morning when I'm still in bed, before I even get out, I just do normal fun stretches for my back and my legs. Like I do like bed yoga because I can be quite lazy in the morning. So I'll take like 5 minutes and just stretch it out, and then I'll get up. And I notice that makes an incredibly big difference, because when we have intense dreams, the body can get tense. And so if we don't stretch it out just a little bit, when you get up and you start to live your life, the day goes on, your emotional stress adds to that current tension that you feel in the body. And as subtle as it might be, it can actually escalate quite fast. Now, to come back to what I was saying earlier, I had back pain between my shoulder blades that was so bad. And no one could diagnose what the problem was. They all go like, it's in your head. I'm like, the next person that tells me that, I'm going to strangle them. That's how I felt at that time. This was quite 10 years ago. And it was so bad that it would take me half an hour to get out of bed, because I had to stretch to get out, just to get movement, because it was so sore. And I started working on the pain, and I just one day, out of complete frustration, I just sat there and I said to this pain, and I started talking to it like I looked like a crazy person. And I sat in my office, which was in my house, and I'm talking to the pain. I'm like, what is it? Speak. Just tell me, because I don't know. And I just and just out of being in that place of powerlessness, I just surrendered. I just became playful, and I thought, fine, I'm just going to pretend that you have a voice, and we're going to hear what you have to say. And I thought it was nonsense. I didn't believe in it at that point. And I just heard this message saying, I feel humiliated. And I'm like, what? You feel what? And I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to laugh this off. There has to be something in this. And I realized that humiliation was a really big problem for me that I've been suppressing my entire life because of my dynamic with my dad. And, that just continued to escalate throughout my life. And it was something that was an inner battle that I was constantly fighting about. Like, it was this inner sense of shame that I've been dealing with. And also, of course, because of the past, the past childhood trauma. And this was going to sit right in the between my shoulder blades. And I thought, okay, this is really interesting. So I'm going to do the healing technique on my back. And the pain went away. And I thought, oh my God, this is too good to be true, right? It felt like it was just too good to be true. And I thought, okay, I'm going to wait this out and see if it sticks. And so two days later, the pain came back, but only 50%. And I thought, okay, this is very interesting. I'm going to speak to this pain again, and I'm going to ask, get a sense what is left here. And I spoke to the pain again, and this time I didn't get a message like that. I heard auditorially, and it's not like you would hear me right now. It's like imagining, just keeping your mouth closed and singing "Happy Birthday" to yourself in your head. That's like what it sounds like, right? So, and this time I got an image of my mom, and I thought, okay, this is something to do with mom. Interesting. And so I called my mom and I said, hey, Mom, you know what? I've been doing this technique, and I have this back pain, and I healed it. But now it came back 2 days later, and I got a vision of you. Have you ever had back pain there and between your shoulder blades? And she said, I actually did. And I'm like, really? Tell me a little bit about this. And she said, I had it while I was pregnant with you. But then when I gave birth to you, it went away. And I'm like, oh, really? And I thought, maybe I have it then. And this was so interesting. And I went back and I went back to the moment when my mom gave birth to me. And I acknowledged the difference between my identity and her identity, and her pain and my pain, and her stress and my stress. And what I realized was the moment when I took on the pain was that the pressure on my back was so intense in that specific in between the shoulder blade section, because of how I was hunched through, because I was born through forceps, and it was a very prolonged birth. So her pain was transferred to the most weakened area in my body, which was between my shoulder blades. And so I just did the session on myself there and healed the pain that I took on from her in that moment, and the pain never came back. And that's when I thought, wow, the concept of pain is so misunderstood. Pain can also be, emotions can become so incredibly strong that they can also translate into physical pain, because that's the body saying, hey, I'm saturated with feeling this emotion. I can't take it anymore. But it depends on the specific location of the body where you store it, because that's the emotion or that's the message that's going to tell you where it needs to be dealt with. So, and anyone that's actually ever lost a loved one or that's broken up with someone, that sadness is so great that it hurts. It physically hurts. That's painful. Now, we can also have emotions unrelated to sadness that can become so incredibly strong that it can translate into pain.
And that is true. Yeah, that is true.
Totally.
When I had anxiety, my skin literally turned green, and I would have like stomach issues and stuff. And now, it's just crazy you're saying this, because I've been around somebody that's extremely sensitive, and they would react to everything. They could react to somebody's energy. Like if somebody's, just had a bad attitude around them, they could feel it almost. And it's,
oh yeah,
it's like, man, there's something about our bodies that we haven't tapped into yet, that science hasn't tapped into yet. I think it has to do, now does this have to do with the aura too, as well?
I'm happy to touch a little bit on that for you if you want. So what happens is that when we have the brain, which we also now know is non-local, right? There's people that's born with half a brain and they live perfectly normal lives, even have master's degrees in mathematics. There's info, and this is parts of the brain that's physically missing, that would have made it impossible for these people to achieve the things that they did, but they still achieved it. And this is actually on record. I talked about this in my level 1 online course. And so now when you look at the brain that's non-local, we ask the question, how? Why? The heart's exactly the same, because these two actually are our biggest and most strongest electromagnetic field center points in the body. And now when I say electromagnetic field, the heart's actually the strongest, the brain is second strongest. And when we look at the heart area, this is where we actually give and receive intellectual information from that we cannot see through this electromagnetic field between people. So people who are empaths, people who are oversensitive, have a very pristine and clear electromagnetic field in their heart center, and that is why they can feel other people's feelings so incredibly strong, right? So now you have the mind as well, where we can also telepathically then connect to other people. So that's more of like conversations, intellectual, as you would call it, talkative communication. But now when we look at the heart center, that's where we feel. So you get a lot of people that can sense, a lot of people that can feel. They, for example, are more attuned with the electromagnetic field in the heart. Now you get a lot of people that's visually extremely intuitive. They are much more connected to the electromagnetic field stemming from the mind, right? Because it's that's just how we're wired. And this is actually scientifically proven. That's the cool part. Now, what they've proven is that this electromagnetic field can only span out from 6 to 8 feet. Now, that's picked up by a machine. Now, it just shows you how incredibly amazing we are, because if I'm sitting here in Switzerland and I have a client in Jamaica or in New Zealand, and they send me a text message, hey, Evette, I have this emotion, can you please help me? I'm like, no problem. I just connect. And it's through this electromagnetic field, through intention and focus, and knowing who the person is that you want to connect with. The healing is instant, done distantly with no communication. Right? A machine picks up 6 to 8 feet, but I'm telling you that it's infinite. So, and that is how we connect, and that is how we feel, and that is how we sense. And it's through this electromagnetic field that the physical body reacts. Now you have the biological makeup that's reacting to this information, because the body has its own consciousness. Not just you, it's not just the brain or the heart. Now, here's another cool part. If you take a piece of the heart and you give it to a neurobrain surgeon, and they put it under a microscope, they will think it's a piece from the brain. The heart has its own neurotransmitters. The heart can think and make decisions independently to the brain. How incredible is that? So now, it already just shows you how this electromagnetic field bringing in this amazing information in, and how the heart can make decisions. That's why we sometimes have this feeling of, I really want to do this, but damn it, I don't know if I should. Should I or shouldn't I? That's the head and the heart fighting with each other because they both can independently make their own decisions.
Oh,
actual cognitive decisions. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was like, when you say cognitive decisions, like, so this is how these guys in the East, they could literally stop their hearts and stuff, right? And then to come back from it. And that's incredible.
The body is so powerful. We're sitting, it's like we have this amazing Ferrari, but we're driving 10 miles an hour because we don't know how to use half of the buttons. Like, we have such an amazing vessel, but we just don't know how to work with it. We don't know how to use it. And so, of course, through this unconscious life that we're living, we're destroying this beautiful, intelligent, vessel that we're in, that is specifically designed and set up for us to fulfill our purpose. But now, like I said, we're complaining, we're meowing that we're not fulfilling our purpose. Well, look at the reason why. Look at what you're doing to your body. Your body is meant to kind of get you there, right? But now you're not listening to the very thing that's going to help you get past that finishing line.
Yeah,
good
that's
luck.
important.
Yeah, it's like good luck.
Well, I'm incredibly impressed by this. So if I wanted to do you have sessions online anymore, or do you have to go to an event that you're at or a session?
No, if I have time, I love to continue seeing clients. I still do case studies. I still do a lot of research. So at the moment, I'm working on post-traumatic stress disorder research, because they say that, people can't be healed from it because the hippocampus, the emotional brain, the limbic system has actual damage. Well, hello guys, we have neurogenesis. So, we know that that's possible. So I don't want to hear someone telling me, no, I'm permanently damaged. No, you're not. So this is something that I'm jumping into right now. So I'm always doing something. So I sometimes have a waiting list, but the moment I have a week free, I'll tell my team, I'm like, hey guys, send out that email, blast them. I'm open this whole week for sessions. Let's do it. So I am still open for sessions. And of course, I have the online events. I have a premium membership site that I'm building. That's a Metaphysical Anatomy healing school that's going to have healing courses online for almost anything, anxiety, shame, whatever, finding your purpose, loving yourself again. Whatever it is that you need is going to be on there. So there's so much happening. And then, of course, the live events.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Gotta have her back, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got to do the extra hour. We didn't get to do.
This is part 1 of 2, guys. This is part 1 of 2.
But if you guys go see this, like, you go on the YouTube channel, or you can go on the website and actually check it out, you'll see just how amazing it is. And you can see, like, even some of the people, once they go up there and they sit down, how nervous they are, because they, Oh,
they're super nervous, yeah. And I also have a book that's Metaphysical Anatomy Volume 1 on Amazon. It has 679 medical ailments that I wrote about. And I wrote the psychosomatic emotional stress behind it, the messages that we are conscious to, but now you become conscious of it. And then I wrote key points for any practitioner, whether medical or just, someone that's in personal development, to start to understand how the body is storing it and what to look for. And then there's a free guided healing session to help you start your healing journey.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll definitely do it again, and we'll do it soon, as soon as possible. Actually, as soon as possible. Thank you for coming on the broadcast.
And thank you for everyone for listening. Cool. And until next time.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, guys, we got to get out of here. Don't forget the show is produced by The Fringe FM. Please don't broadcast this on YouTube without written permission. Music was by Chronox, guitar by Bundy. I want to thank Dan Lopez for coming on, our guest Evette Rose for coming on as well, Dave Cruz, who else? Dennis, Don, Pacho, Lady Ann, Jeremy Scott, Eric Markham. See you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.